Hello, welcome to BioGreat TV. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on the notification so you don't miss our next video. What happened in Oyo Empire? Established in the 12th century, the Oyo Empire went on to become the largest Yoruba state. It rose through the exceptional organizational and administrative skills of the Yoruba people, wealth from robust trade, and its powerful cavalry. The Oyo Empire was the most politically important state in the region from the mid-15th to the late 18th century, dominating not only most of the other kingdoms in Yorubaland, but also nearby African states, including the Fon Kingdom of Dahomey in the modern Republic of Benin. After Oranyan, the first Oba of Oyo, Oba Ajaka succeeded him as the Alaafin of Oyo. Ajaka was removed from office because he was considered lacking in military virtue and allowed his sub-chiefs too much independence. His brother, Shango, was made king in his place, and Shango later became the deity of thunder and lightning. After Shango's death, Ajaka was restored to the throne. This time, he became more warlike and oppressive. His successor, Kori, conquered the rest of the region that historians would refer to as Metropolitan Oyo. Oyo had grown into a great power by the end of the 14th century. For more than a century, the Yoruba state had expanded at the expense of its neighbors. However, during the reign of Onigbogi, Oyo suffered military defeats at the hands of the Nupe. Sometimes around 1535, the Nupe attacked, occupied Oyo, and forced its ruling dynasty to take refuge in the kingdom of Borgu. The capital was sacked, destroying Oyo as a regional power until the early 17th century. After a period of about 80 years, Oyo bounced back as a force to be reckoned with. Oyo was re-established as more centralized and expansive than ever. The people created a government that established its power over a huge empire. There was a long stretch of growth from the 17th century, and Oyo became the most populous kingdom in Yoruba history. The main factors that helped in the rebuilding of Oyo was a stronger military and a more centralized government. Learning from their Nupe enemies, whom they called Takba, the Yoruba rearmed with armor and cavalry. Oba Alaafin of Oyo regained Oyo's original territory from the Nupe. A new capital, Oyo Igboho, was built, and the original became known as Old Oyo. The next Oba Egugojo effectively conquered nearly all of Yorubaland. After this, Oba Orompoto, who is said to be the only female Oba in Oyo's history, led attacks to wipe out the Nupe to ensure Oyo was never threatened by them again. The revived Oyo Empire began raiding southward as early as 1682. By the end of its military expansion, Oyo's borders had stretched to the coast to some 320 kilometers southwest of its capital. In 1728, the Oyo Empire attacked the Kingdom of Dahomey using its cavalry. Dahomey warriors who had no cavalry, however, had many firearms, and their gunshots scared the Oyo cavalry horses and prevented their charging. Dahomey's army also built fortifications such as trenches, forcing the Oyo army to fight as infantry. The battle raged for 4 days, but the Oyo army were eventually victorious after reinforcements arrived. Dahomey was compelled to pay tribute to Oyo. It took 7 invasions before the Yoruba finally subdued the Dahomey kingdom in 1748. The Oyo Empire developed a very sophisticated political structure to govern its territory. After re-emerging from exile in the early 17th century, Oyo adopted a more militant character. The influence of an aggressive Yoruba culture is seen in the standards placed on the Oba and the roles of his council. The Oba at Oyo, who was referred to as the Alaafin of Oyo, was the head of the empire and supreme overlord of the people. He had the responsibility of keeping tributaries safe from attack, settling internal quarrels between sub-rulers, and mediating between those sub-rulers and their people. The Alaafin was also expected to periodically give his subordinates honors and presents. In return, all sub-rulers had to pay homage to the Oba and renew their allegiance during annual ceremonies. The Bere festival was the most important of these. After the Bere festival, peace was supposed to last for 3 years. The king could not be removed but could be compelled to commit suicide if he fell out of favor with the people. This was carried out by the Bashorun, that is, the prime minister, to present either an empty calabash or a dish of parrot eggs to him and pass a sentence of rejection, known as Awon, that is, the people reject you, the world rejects you, and the gods reject you also. According to tradition, the Alaafin was required to commit suicide thereafter. While the Alaafin of Oyo was supreme ruler of the people, he had checks on his power. The Oyomesi and the Yoruba earth cult, known as Ogboni, acted as those checks. The Oyomesi represented the interests of the politicians, while the Ogboni spoke for the people and were backed by the power of religion. There was a high degree of efficiency and professionalism in the army of the Oyo Empire. Its military success was largely due to its cavalry, as well as the leadership and courage of Oyo officers and warriors. Oyo also enjoyed a steady population growth and so was always able to field a large army. The ingrained military culture in Oyo also played a huge role. Victory was obligatory and defeat carried the duty of suicide. This do-or-die policy, no doubt, contributed to the military prowess of Oyo's generals. Oyo became the major southern market for the trans-Saharan trade. Salt, leather, horses, kola nuts, ivory, cloth, and slaves were major items of exchange in trade. The Oyo were also high-skilled in ironwork and craft making. Besides taxes on trade products coming in and out of the empire, Oyo also became wealthy from taxes from its tributaries. The Kingdom of Dahomey alone brought in by way of taxes an amount estimated at $638,000 annually. By 1680, the Oyo Empire covered an area spanning over 150,000 square kilometers. It reached the peak of its power in the 18th century. The government was able to establish unity for a vast area through a combination of local autonomy and imperial authority. Many believe the decline of the Oyo Empire had started around 1754 with the intrigues and palace coup spearheaded by the Oyo Prime Minister, Ga. Ga, in his quest for absolute power, collaborated with the Oyomesi and to some degree the Ogboni to force 4 successive Alaafins to commit ritual suicide after they had been presented with the symbolic parrot's eggs. Between June and October 1754 alone, 2 Alaafins had been compelled to commit suicide by Ga. Because of this, Alaafin Awon spent 130 days on the throne, while Alaafin Labisi only spent 17 days on the throne. It was not until 1774 before Ga's treachery was brought to an end. It was during the reign of Alaafin Abiodun, the 5th Alaafin he served. Ga was executed by Abiodun, but the instability that had been created had further weakened Oyo. Torn by internal struggle, Oyo was able to defend itself against the Fulani. In 1835, Oyo-Ile was raised by the Fulani Empire and eventually collapsed in 1836. To this day, the Ilorin traditional ruler is an emir, whereas in the rest of Yorubaland, the rulers are called either Oba or Baale. What have we missed out of this history? Let's know in the comment section. Will it be ridiculous to subscribe to our channel? If no, please like this video, share, and subscribe to our channel.